Hey guys, it's Brad from camerasharp.com. Today we're going to be doing a tutorial on text. Now what we're going to do is cover the blending options. The blending options are Photoshop's text tool to modifying the text to make it look different, to add different effects to it. So here we have a text layer. I'm actually just going to type here. Let's start a new text layer. Let's just do Camera Sharp. Center that. All right, so there we've got some pretty basic text. It's black and there's nothing to it. So what we're going to do is either double click or right click blending options, and we can open the blending options for the text. Now make sure that layer is selected when you do this, which is pretty hard not to, but anyway. So we'll start with the bevel and emboss. This is how you get a 3D effect on your image. When I click that, you can see that this light is casted on the angle coming in from about 120 degrees. You can see this it just looks three-dimensional. It looks really good. If we do contour, it's going to add more of that effect to it. And don't be afraid to go into these options if you select them, and you can mess around with the the size. You can soften it, more depth, technique, style, angle, all this good stuff. Very easy. And then you can add a texture. The texture obviously is going to add a texture to the image. Let's see how it's kind of a corroded, like almost looks like asphalt. Well, if we select texture, we can change that to like bubbles or cracks. That's some kind of colorful wave that doesn't show color. That's like a more finer, coarse look. I've never really been a big fan of textures though, so we're going to go ahead and turn those off. Next, we're going to look at stroke, but in order to look at stroke, we're going to have to add color to this. So if we do color overlay, it's going to add a color. So let's do like a lime green so it really stands out. So that's pretty easy. You can change the opacity of that green color. And then we want to make sure our blending mode is on normal. Now that we've done that, let's go to stroke, and it's going to add an outline to the image. This is good for when you can't see the text very well. It also adds that interesting text effect. If we select stroke, we can change the color of this of the stroke, so you can see now it's red, and then we can change the size, so we can make it really big. Once I select that, we can make it bigger, smaller. You can change the position where it's located, but it's usually best to leave this as black, and I found 3 is the best size, which should be your default size. Inner shadow is pretty obvious. It's literally going to add a shadow. It kind of looks like it's punched into the image. It's kind of a cool effect. You can change, the angle and everything on there, the opacity, distance, choke, size. Inner glow is going to add a color shade to the inside of the image. So if I make this red and I make this normal, the blend mode normal, it's going to add that color to the inner part of the text. The more you do it, the more apparent it is. Satin, I really can't tell you much about this other than it's weird, but I'm pretty sure if you messed around with it, you'd be able to get some interesting looking results. It just seems to be a very odd option. I really can't tell you much about it. But you can play around with it and see what happens. Gradient overlay, we're going to be able to add different colors into the image. So you can see here we've got like white going into black, or we could do like a bunch of different colors like this. We can change the angle, so it kind of fades. That's another good tool to play around with. Pattern overlay is pretty much the same thing as texture. It's just going to add a pattern to the text. I'd recommend using pattern over texture if you're not going to use bevel and emboss. Outer glow is going to add a shade of color to the outside. So let's go ahead and mess around with that. Let's make this red. Red is a pretty standout color. We're going to make this normal. And it kind of does the same thing that stroke does. You can change the size and everything, and maybe add like a fuzzy shade like that. It's pretty ugly, but if you do the right colors, it'll be good. Lastly, my favorite is drop shadow. Drop shadow literally adds a really cool shadow to your image. And the reason this is important is because sometimes when you have your image on, or if you have text on an image and the colors are similar, it's not going to stand out. Well, drop shadow adds a really professional looking shadow to it that makes it stand out from the image. I found 120 degrees is the most optimal degree because it looks like sun is casting a shadow into it. You can change the size, distance, spread. You can really just go crazy with it. But these are the settings I use, and I find these to be the best looking. Anyway, that's a brief tutorial on how to make, how to mess around with text in Photoshop. Blending options is a very powerful tool. And if you have any questions, just leave a comment in the comment box and make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Have a great day.